Right. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this new webinar by pimvendors.com on Onesila, a lightning demo where we'll dive into the background of the tool, but also we'll dive into the real use applications. I'm Stephan Spijkers. I'm co-founder of pimvendors.com, and today we have a very interesting webinar. But if you want more information on product data and a solution for your product data challenges, please feel free to visit our website where you'll find lots of free resources, independent PIM, product information management tool, scan, and of course our contact details if you want to discuss your challenges live with me. That's not what we're going to do today, though I do have some housekeeping, and you can ask your questions. You can share your product data challenges, and Sascha and I will be really happy to take them on. If you have those, please drop them on the right-hand side in the chat. You see my messages there already. Let me know, let us know what your challenges are and what you're facing, how we might be able to help, or what questions you might have based on the demo or presentation by Sascha later today. We'll take those questions live. There is a dedicated Q&A afterwards, but I'll try to weave in your questions during the live presentation or the live webinar so that you can have some interaction as well. So please use that comment box on the right-hand side. The other final housekeeping is we are recording this session, so if you have to leave earlier or maybe if you dropped in a bit later because of an extended meeting, no worries, you can always look back. We'll share this recording with everyone after the recording has ended, obviously. Without further ado, I'd like to give the floor to Sascha. Sascha, can you quickly introduce yourself? And yeah, you can take it away.
All right, lovely. My name is Sascha, and I'm the founder of Onesila. So that's exactly what I would love to talk to you about today. As a founder and as a business, we're really driven to help you accelerate your global e-commerce growth. We have built a PIM tool that is really founded from our own experiences as e-commerce founders. Myself, for example, I also had a manufacturing company where we would manufacture pet accessories. And a fundamental part of this company was to grow internationally. It was a very niche product that really had to be rolled out across multiple European countries. We were selling in the Middle East, we sold in the US, and this came quite naturally with multiple currencies, multiple languages, multiple platforms, and obviously the marketplace challenge that some or all of you may be very well aware of. As we grow in our careers and we learn that we deal with larger product catalogs, we've really focused on the removing of manual mayhem and helping our customers deal with the modern challenges of selling globally. So that's where Onesila comes from, from the trenches. And the PIM system we've built is highly focused on accuracy, speed, as in time to market, fundamentally reducing your time to market and giving you a simple, user-friendly interface where the team does not really require much or any training whatsoever to use it. We've designed it in such a way that it's a lot about execution over bureaucracy. So we don't enforce a lot of rules that are related to many layers of double check-in. It's really a tool that's been built to deliver your products to as many potential customers as possible within the shortest amount of time. And that obviously in an international setting through marketplaces and various websites so that you can focus on scaling without necessarily hiring more staff. So since we're talking about marketplaces, how does it work for us? You pick a channel, we integrate it through simple clicks, and then we pull the data in, because more often than not, you will have a pre-existing marketplace. There will already be products preloaded on that marketplace. Perhaps not the entire range, but more often than not, easily 20-30% of the product range. So we actually import that data. And then what really needs to happen is some mapping, what color and color can be written differently, but they're the same meaning, and gray, same kind of story. And once that exercise has been done, it's a matter of selecting the right product and assigning it to the marketplace. So let's have a look how that works. So in our demo account here, we have a handful of integrations: a Magento, a Shopify, a WooCommerce, and an Amazon account. All have been previously integrated. Should we want to add more, then it's the same story. You click an integration and then you go through the motions. For example, for a Magento, you just add the host name, select your settings, add your API key. You could follow the instructions. You could just ask us to do it for you. It's all very straightforward. As we're progressing, we're adding a lot of new marketplaces. Shane will be next, most likely. Then Miracle comes. And here on our Rainy Bear bag, we can see it's already present on Magento. We can see it's present on our Shopify store. We could add it to our WooCommerce store as well. And that's all you really do. You select a channel and you apply it. And our product inspector, which is in this case the green block on the right top side, will show you where your challenges are with the product data. So on Magento as well, I'm actually really proud to say that all our integrations are native integrations. So that means that all of the data is really distributed cleanly as the local platform would expect it. In Magento, that's configurable products and properties or attributes and attribute sets. So we don't hijack anything, we just cleanly follow the platform's desires. Here on our dashboard, you can see, for example, a few of the challenges that this account has. There's some products with missing images, there are some products with prices missing, etc. So red cards mean resolve them because these products cannot be sold. Orange cards mean you probably want to optimize these listings. However, the listings are public and are being sold. So in this example, why don't we have a look at the Amazon account? The Amazon account here seems to have some issues. So I'd love to show you how deep we went in this integration. So this native integration is showing us that in the example of the dog bag, the SKU cannot be added because the catalog doesn't exist. It's a very Amazonian kind of error, something we get straight off the Seller Central. But if you bring your attention to the second error, you will find that it's makes a lot more sense. Second error is that the brand is restricted. So first we have to access the brand and only then can we add products to its catalog. It's the Amazon way, and that's really what we want to show you in this example, is how deep we go with pulling the Amazon challenges in here. The idea being that you no longer need Seller Central and your team can manage everything from Onesila. If you want to add existing products as well, there's an ASIN code you can add. If you own the brand, you can use the GTIN exceptions, and also the browser nodes will need to be set if you're listing fresh products. Something you can all do from in here without having to flip between Seller Central, deal with Excel templates, and manually tagging things. You simply make your selection, prepare the data, and the rest gets pushed automatically to Amazon. That means validation errors, that means Amazon product issues. So we'll help you ensure that the only thing you can do is publish really good data, and you cannot corrupt your own catalog by accidentally pushing the wrong information. This example is a North American account. So here we had Spanish, we have pesos. Let's have a look at the mapping as well. So we have a mapper that again pulls all of the product data and mapping data out of Amazon. You just select the product type you wish to map and you connect it to our product rules. I'll come back to product rules later. They are a fundamental part of how Onesila works, and they actually allow you to define what a product is, what it looks like, and what a customer would expect to know about your product. Same goes for properties. The mapping, we have like a mapping wizard that allows you to cycle through the mapping. If we were unable to identify it with our AI engine, you just manually follow the instructions. So one of the extra things that come to light is when you start selling in different regions, in different currencies, you need a different type of price management. Flat fields generally don't tend to cut it. So what we've done is made a real multi-currency environment where you have price rounding like 0.99 or 0.5. You have real multi-currency where you can either use your own fixed rates or you can stick to market exchange rates. And these can be applied directly on the product prices or through product price lists. Each of these price lists you can then assign to a different sales channel, but that also means that your team can manage prices from within Onesila. And if you have a very straightforward pricing strategy, you could create price lists that automatically increase or reduce prices based on the necessities of the sales channel and the region of the world that you're selling in. In my example, I'd love to show you here how we're going to create an Amazon price list. So we already have an EU B2B list. We have a list for the UK stores. And let's go ahead and create an Amazon list of which we want to base it on British pounds. We could automatically add every product from the catalog, and we could choose to automatically update prices or not. In this case, we want to sell 10% more expensive on Amazon because of the commission structure, and the system will allow you to do this. And you could enable auto add products, and what it will do is automatically create a price entry for every single product in the catalog plus 10% in pounds. And then what you do after that is, since we didn't select automatic prices, automatic product adds, we can add our product and it will increase with 10%. Okay, how do we get that to work with our Amazon account? You go to the integration, go to price lists and assign the price list that we just created. And that's it. There's nothing more to it. We also have another store in here called a water bottle store, which has a list for America and Europe, a store. Same thing. We can add a price list also here by selecting it from the list and save. This works across all the entire philosophy around it that we've built is to try and simplify the entire flow for everything. So for our water bottle store, we'll be doing a 10% discount for the period of October. So we can set a start and end date, add a 10% discount on the discount percentage. And that's how we create our discounts. So now we go ahead and assign it. And when the time comes, these prices will get published automatically and removed automatically. This way of working really allows you to plan your pricing throughout the year and well in advance, define your ranges, define your price structure, and assign it to the right sales channels well in advance. So there's no last minute additions, there's no last minute updates. You can really prepare and then do things diligently. So we can't really talk about marketplaces and lots of product information if we don't talk about AI. We have chosen not to give you prompting. Instead, what we do is we generate the prompts from within Onesila based on a brand voice, on the product properties, the images, and all this goes to the LLM and will consistently create attractive product descriptions that you or your copywriters can then go and adjust however they like. But the point is that it gives you a great place to start from that's already respectful of the type of products that you're selling with your target audience in mind. We also apply this kind of technology to do our translations, and the same happens in marketplace mapping. So whenever you connect a new marketplace, we will try and auto map as much of the properties and the product rules or attribute sets, whatever we want to call them, and all of the values, the predefined values, so that no time really is, or at least the least amount of time possible is wasted on this mapping journey. Because at the end of the day, the mapping itself doesn't make the company any money. It's the actual product sales that do, right? Let's have a look. What does this look like? Brand identity. Let's grab this salt and pepper brand. And could select the language, but you could just stick to English. And it's I've written down, I imagine perhaps my description of this brand isn't correct, but the point is that it's a minimalistic brand and it's a high-end product, and that's what we want to reflect in the product descriptions. So now when we go and look for one of these products, I want to show you how to generate a fresh description for one of these products. So all you really do is click generate. The properties have been previously populated, and the system now also knows the brand voice we have added, so it will generate a kind of description of this store. And we have different formats. They could be key points, they could be bullet points, they could be a short description with a few paragraphs. And this is how we have chosen to implement our content generation. For Amazon, the same thing happens. You could click the button, it will generate the bullet points that you need to send to the Amazon marketplace. And this again gives you a great point to start from, instead of manually having to write things and write prompts every single time. It's just a click of a button.
Can I ask a quick question, Sascha?
Of course.
So you now, in the video, you do this per product. Is it possible to do this at scale, or is that the next step in the video?
I didn't show it in the video, but it is possible at scale. Yes, we have some bulk actions similar to what I'm going to show you here in the property translations. Well, these are select values. They also need to be translated sometimes, and the purpose or the flow is exactly the same. So you just filter what you would like to translate and then click either translate or generate content. And the rest happens in the background. So one of the things we heavily apply throughout Onesila is background processing. We have a big background queue that handles a lot of the heavy work without you as a user having to wait for it. And that's the same kind of principle you see here. So I'll continue the video. So you just click translate and it will translate all of these values in the background. Obviously,
and does it also transform those values? Because I saw sort of this is the metric system. Would it transform this to ounces, maybe?
It wouldn't quite do that. It's an interesting thought. We're happy to entertain. Measurements is something we've been playing with, and I'd actually love to hear anybody's thoughts on what a great workflow would be as a company to deal with this kind of stuff. Because if you're selling in the UK, you want inches and ounces instead of kilograms or pounds. In the US, it's the same story, but throughout Europe, we use a metric system. For the moment, I would advise to have two properties, one for the metric system and one for the I actually don't know what the British system, the imperial one, is that what they call it? Yeah. But I'd love to entertain the idea to have an actual attribute type that can deal with weights and measurements cleanly.
Yeah, cool. I have loads of more questions, which I'll do at the end of your lightning demo. If the audience has questions, please drop them in the comments. I have one more question that I see popping up here as well, is the Onesila AI credits or the CLI credits. How does that work? So I assume that then you don't put in a OpenAI key in here, or how does it work? Yeah.
So, it works with a bunch. So every month you get a credit reset, and depending on the agreement we made, you will get more or less keys, credits, and every action takes at least one credit. So translation actions take a credit, generating content takes a credit. At the moment, we don't have anything that costs more than one credit. But there are a few things that we'd love to introduce that are a lot more, that are not really OpenAI related. That is some different type of models that do a bit more heavy lifting, and they potentially may cost more, but that remains to be seen. But yeah, did I answer the question, or did I waffle around there?
No, for sure. Yeah.
Okay. So after we work with our AI stuff, like what does product management actually look like? That's kind of the point of the whole PIM, isn't it? How do we manage products? And we've built like a bulk edit experience. That means you can, for example, in a configurable product and you have your variations, you can actually populate the properties across the variations by dragging and by, like you do in Excel when you want to populate an entire row or a column. The same kind of idea. And that works across prices, properties. That even works with media. So if you have different variations and you want to assign individual images to them, you can just select them and add those individual images from that matrix view. So really want to keep it down on the clicking around and clicking through our products. Assigning sales channels is easy. You just select the channel you want to bring the product to, and that's in the story. As far as media management goes, so we support images, we support video, and we also support documents. Depending on your sales channel, they may or may not be published there, but that doesn't mean the data isn't available, and that also means that you have a central place where you can store this kind of stuff. So let's have a look at what it takes to create a product. In this case, we'll be creating a water bottle. So let's take our configurable product and write insulated water bottle as the product type already exists. It's much like Magento attribute sets. It's kind of that philosophy, but more flexible. So then either you go ahead and depending, right, if your ERP is first or the PIM is first, you can either pre-attach pre-existing simple products, or you can generate them straight from this screen. I'm going to take 3 colors here. And now the configurable product was created. The variations have been created. They've also been attached. And we'll start with adding some images. These are a little nano banana experiment. These have been uploaded. And you can see here that the variations have a red cross at content quality. We'll be resolving that momentarily. So we're going to be adding our brand. Its internals are glass, the outer material stainless steel. We have our colors predefined, right, and then the contents. So what we'll do now is select the whole row and just drag it down. And you'll see on purpose we're overriding the colors, and you'll see why in it. The moment we save it, our system will detect that some variations are duplicate. See in the red top, missing information. And that's because I've been overriding the different variational configurations. So our configurator system will just detect it when there is a mistake and inform you. So that area has gone. We still seem to have incomplete variations, and that's because we haven't added any pricing. It works the same way. You can drag it across and then drag it down. And the moment we save it, it will also generate the recommended retail and the price for in euros and in US dollar. And those currencies had been configured to round on $.99, which it has done clean. You could generate content for every variation if you would like. And we will start now by just adding some content to the configurable product. So again, same story, click generate, and it will use the images and the properties of each of the variations to generate this description.
Maybe a quick question, Sascha. Is this a unique description per channel, or is it
it can be
a unique?
So here you can see on the right hand side, you see default, Magento, Tweave, Deck Demo, etc. These are your different channels, and you can just select the channel and then regenerate the description to have a content specific, channel specific content.
Yeah. Since I interrupted your flow anyway, we have a question from the audience, from Zach, who is, well, actually 2, but we'll start with the first one. So what you're showcasing is a pretty complete product experience management solution, right? You can manage all the different aspects of your listing on the different marketplaces. And his question is, maybe I missed it, but do you carry the stock levels of the products, correct? Do you then integrate with a WMS or a warehouse management system or a shipping platform to track intake and outbound items?
That's actually something we don't do. So we don't track inventory.
So it is focused on, Onesila's focused on the product flow, basically the product data flow. It is not focused on the order operations, and which means sort of stock levels in and orders out, basically.
No, that's true. We don't deal with that. I'm not saying there isn't a future where that could be potentially an option, but I doubt anytime soon that I doubt that'll happen anytime soon. There's so many things to do in product management in itself, so many integrations, so many marketplaces that we want to integrate with, that the stock levels itself, as I understand the current ecosystem, most ERPs or warehouse management systems should allow you to integrate with the various channels to do that type of synchronization, mainly because of its throughput as well. And inventory levels change a lot. And here we're focused heavily on background processing and data manipulation and live syncing that to the different channels. But inventory needs a different type of performance that I don't believe we have achieved at this point to be able to guarantee such a throughput.
It is also a sort of diffusion of responsibility. Like this, a PIM, in my definition, is the system of record for product data, not for transactions or inventory or orders. It is true that maybe 5 years ago, and that's I think where 5 or 10 years ago, when you saw these syndication tools spring up, which had both of these types of integrations, right? So a product data integration with very limited capabilities when it came to enrichment or mapping, but also an order integration to bring those orders back from the different platforms. That was because these ERP packages did not support any sort of direct integrations with the different platforms. I think since ERPs are the system of record for transactions, they've all sort of gotten to 2025, or let's say this millennium or the 2020s, where they now do most often offer these integrations for orders and for stock. And it is true that is a different type of data. It's more, if product data can be, I would like to declare product data kind of cold from a data stream perspective. Like, you update that once a quarter, maybe once a week, or maybe there's some special promotions, like you plan a promotion, so price might be a bit warmer. Transactions and stock and order information, like, hey, you shipped it, so you need to send back the track and trace. That is a hot data stream. That's that needs to be synced immediately, or at least as soon as possible. So it's a different type of integration and has different requirements as well.
It does, doesn't it? Yeah. Actually, what you do see regularly as well is people do still create products in their ERP, and then the ERP flow pushes it into the Magento or in the marketplace, or this kind of change realities where people then connect their ERP to their Magento, and then the Magento is connected to Amazon and to Bull and a few other marketplaces. But this you do see often, and the reason why we've built this in such a way is that I found this flow to be enormously ineffective, and people are spending a lot of time manually dealing with Magento challenges, and there's a lot of time where the staff and the team need to understand how Magento works specifically in order to keep it all stable. And that's really what we try to avoid here. We want to keep it as straightforward as possible. So the more we steer away from just product data, the more complex the platform becomes, but not the right type of complexity, in my opinion. This is really about product information.
Cool. He has a follow-up question, so we'll kind of stick to Zach for now, but that is more focused on the product data modeling. So when we look at the product data model within Onesila, he asks, how many levels of data architecture do you support? So 1 level of variations, 2, 3, how many layers of variations do you support?
So the variations in itself, with layers, do you mean, for example, color can be selected, size can be selected, and maybe some kind of finishing that can be selected? We don't have a limit per se. It's more, I imagine the limit may be hit on the next system downstream. If we use Shopify and refuse Magento, they may have different limits. We don't enforce a limit on it. If you want to make your configuration 10 level with 10 different properties, then go right ahead and do that. We have no limitation on that. Actually, a bit later in the presentation, I get to product types as well. And we have quite a comprehensive product type assortment. So we have simple products, configurable products. We also do bundle products that we then turn into simple products if the channel itself doesn't support it. And we also have a thing called alias products. I doubt there's any other platform there. I mean, Stephan, you'll know if I'm lying or not. But we'll talk about that in a minute.
I just wanted to say, like, that's interesting for sure. I think a variation of the question, I think you answered Zach's question, but a variation of that question would be the hierarchy, right? So the product data hierarchy and the inheritance of product data. Does Onesila support a hierarchy of products and variations and the inheritance in that sense?
As in, color goes first, size goes second, properties go, finishing goes third, that kind of hierarchy?
That is a traditional type of hierarchy, yeah.
Yeah, so we do, yes, in the product rules. Closer to the end of the presentation, we'll be talking about product rules as well, and how it's a fundamental part of how Onesila works. And the product rules actually determine the type of properties that we have to fill out. So all this here, where was it? In this matrix view, there we are. So this brand, inner material, outer material, color, etc. This has been determined in that hierarchy. So that also why the sequence is that. And we publish this.
I'll leave you to it. Yeah.
So we had prices. We generated some content. And now we want to sell it on our European water bottle store. And this is happening live, right? So there's no scheduled imports that have to happen inside of the Magento store in this case. This just gets synced live. Magento takes a while, but it's all good. So that means that without having to wait for the next kind of sync, the product manager can already view the page And let's assume we're just going to text and say, okay, we're also going to be selling this in the Americas. You just, again, click the store, presuming perhaps Water Bottle Store Americas is not on Magento, but it's on Shopify or WooCommerce or another platform. It doesn't matter. You just click, you add it, and the assign happens in the background. You don't need to wait for it neither. You can close the screen. You can go work on another product. This will just happen in the background. And that's really how we create a product and assign it to the different channels. So we jumped a bit ahead earlier, and this is really our architecture. So our architecture is heavily reliant on our rule-based product requirements. We have the inspector, which is the red block, orange block, green block you've seen earlier. And then we have our advanced product types. So the rules are, let's say this bottle of water here, it has a brand, it has nutritional values, it has a certain material this thing is made of. The rules determine what that product is. In case of a t-shirt, it has a fabric, it has a finishing, perhaps it has organic certification or not. And if a customer wants to buy it, then they will want to select a size and a color. All that is defined inside of our product requirements. It doesn't happen on product level. It really happens on the rule level. The Smart Product Inspector will constantly refresh itself to detect any potential errors with the product data. So if there are required items, required properties missing, it will not allow you to publish the product until you have filled out the required properties. The same happens with optional properties. It just won't block you from publishing a product, but it will heavily suggest you that to enhance the product shopping experience, you will need to fill out the optional properties. And then I talked about product types earlier as well. And what we're doing is we have a classic simple product, which is tied to an inventory. We have a configurable product where you bring simple products under the configurable product, but we also support bundles. So the idea of bundles is that you can add simple products to it. You can also add other bundles to it, and you can also add other alias products to it. So the bundle model is very flexible, can also be assigned to a configurable product. So let's say you have a pen and a notebook. Well, you can create a bundle with a red pen, you can create a bundle with a blue pen, and you can create a bundle with a green pen, and then you can map them together under the configurable product and send that to your sales channel. One of the cases we've come across is the alias product. So let's continue going on that pen example. Today, perhaps you want to, on Amazon, or on Bol or any other channel, even on your own website, you may want to offer that pen as a pen that's specific for ladies, and you want to offer that same pen specific for men. Often what you see is that it's the same product listing that has been anchored in two different categories, but the content itself, for example, only speaks to men and not to ladies. With an alias product, you're tying it back into its original inventory SKU, but you have two different listings representing the same product. And one of the last points that I really want to bring forward that makes our tech stack very different compared to other PIM platforms is our ability to sync live. Every integration that we do is based on live calls, live API calls, and we run it all at the moment of change in the background. So whatever changes you do get published in.
So hold on, Sascha. So you're saying basically you create so let's take the alias thing is indeed a new concept for me. I haven't seen that before, but I do think it's super interesting, and it does make a ton of sense, especially on these marketplaces where you're bound to get lost and you want to have a very personalized, targeted description or set of attributes, and maybe even a set of, can you even manage the images on a SKU on an alias level?
It's a separate product, like an entirely separate product that just relates back to the original.
And you tie it back through sort of the ERP SKU. So the order from Amazon is accepted by the ERP or by the transaction engine based on the product number.
I mean, it does require a bit of integration, but yes, that's how we relate it in the database as well. So it would be a matter for the order management system to just talk to Onesila to fetch the real SKU instead of the alias one.
That's cool stuff. No, I have not seen that before. I'm very curious how many people make use of that, because it sounds like a pretty cool feature, but also sounds like work. And I know that with a dedicated solution like Onesila, it is easier to manage a larger product catalog and do these fine tunings and special cases and really sort of push your catalog to the limit when it comes to the investment you have on the basic stuff like sourcing and stock levels and integrations, etc. And then basically selling the same product twice for different audiences, or maybe even 4 or 5 times, depends.
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh, cool. Great. No, that's new. Definitely new.
Okay. Let's have a look at the product rules. So I keep talking about product rules. So the product rules really define what you expect from a product. Earlier we created a water bottle, and we're going to create that exact product rule right now. So first it's going to try and detect something with a similar name, so we can translate it, obviously. Now here we get to the actual product rule screen. So I'm just going to pause this for a moment. So we could say that, for a water bottle, we actually require an EN code. Something actually I haven't mentioned either is we manage the GS1 prefix from within Onesila, so you don't really have the necessity anymore to keep your own Excel sheet separately or go and add stuff inside of the GS1 database just to keep track of which codes you've been using and which ones you haven't. We generate all of the codes inside of Onesila, and when you assign them, the product will just take the first available code out of your database and mark it as permanently used. So even if you do remove that product, as I understand GS1 coding regulations, you're not supposed to reuse those codes. So we do mark them as permanently used. If you want to override it, you can. So back to the product rule. So we have a neat view way here to really determine that attribute set or product rule. So we have a brand, and today we want this brand to be optional, but the inner material should be required. The material itself, is a multi-select, which perhaps we want to use on a different channel, is also required. But then contents, in this case, well, that's different, right? That should go in the configurator. And we want every water bottle to have a certain contents, and it should be configurable. Meaning that in a configurable product, the customer will be able to select contents and color from that list. You see here that contents is required and color is optional. So that means that on every website, it will show that contents. How should I put it? If you have, we did the example earlier, right? We have a green one, a blue one, and an orange one. Now, if all of them, and let me correct the configuration here for that. So I've changed it now to color is required and contents is optional. That means that if we have all of them with the same content, you only select the colors. However, if one of those bottles would have a different content, so you'd say, okay, the orange one also exists in 1 liter variation, only then will it add the configurable selector to deal with contents as well. But that's what this product rule is about. And the idea is that it's flexible, so you can change things, and it doesn't break your products. It will merely show you on the dashboard that new products need new information. It also obviously doesn't take any listings offline or anything, even if you mark stuff as required that previously wasn't there. It will just tell your team, like, hey, we have a high priority item that all of the, if we want to add a brand as required in this case, then all of on the dashboard, it will just show that, for example, 100 new water bottles need a brand that previously wasn't populated.
No, that makes a ton of sense. So you can basically manage the to-dos and the product cards in this overview.
Exactly. We also show like a little preview of the configuration if you're kind of new to this concept of the rules. Then based on what you selected, this preview will change.
I like how beginner-friendly that is, sort of to showcase the effects of the configuration or the different levels.
Indeed. This dashboard would then change, right? So now we had 4 red cards. Products missing required properties. If we would mark brand as required, then number 2 would perhaps change to 30. It's very execution.
Maybe quickly on the AI integration and translations. So in that sense, can you make variations with different translations, and how do translations work in Onesila?
Let's grab this variation here. So this variation does have some content. like if this wouldn't be filled out, it would fall back to the configurable content. But you could do the same here by generating your specific content for this variation. And if you want to do that to French, you just select the French language and you click translate, and it will use the variation's own content piece to translate that into French.
Right, and I saw that you already had French in this variant, so it was already translated to French once before.
Yeah.
Right.
But this one in Spanish, for example, doesn't exist. So this is using OpenAI for this type of translations, right? I don't speak Spanish. I don't know how good this translation would be in Spanish, but it will. This is a very simple prompt, right? Translating stuff in OpenAI is a very simple prompt. All we're really saying is, hey, here is the source text in this language, translate it to the target language, and respect the rules of engagement.
I think generally you have enough context to make sure that even OpenAI understands what kind of product it is, so it doesn't translate a spraying the well into the season, for example.
There are places where it does fumble a bit, like on select values and properties, it can kind of fumble somewhat. So we recently, it was a couple of weeks ago, we translated somewhere 100,000 properties for an Amazon integration, and yeah, some of the translations were questionable. It's not perfect.
But that's beside the point, right? That's everyone has that issue. I think you need the human in the loop still, always.
Yes.
I don't know. That's a different discussion. But I think that this was also a question from the audience. I think this really shows how translation is facilitated.
And again, right, it works on the different channels too. So you want to translate your stuff specifically for Amazon. That's all good. You know, you can either generate fresh ones for your language, or you can choose to translate them from the source. Yeah, just click the button. So really, I'm a big fan. I might be a bit biased, but well, we've really designed it to help you grow without complexity, right? We take care of the complexity. Marketplace integrations, especially native deep integrations, are no joke, and yeah, that's our thing. We take care of them, so you can just focus on actually your market, your product sourcing, and creating great listings. So you sell the product that you're offering. And that's our point, isn't it? So you want it to be accurate. You will always want it to be live synced. So even though, as you call it, Stephan, it's quite cold data, it does change often. But when it does change, you want to see it populated as soon as possible, because there may be a very good reason why you want it populated, or your product team just enjoys seeing it change on the channel and get a better feel for does this work within this environment, yes or no.
I'm kind of disappointed with your fourth advantage. That kind of breaks my heart a little bit.
I know.
Yeah. No. I have one more question, Sascha. So Cyprian asks, when it comes to media management, how are the different files stored? I think you also mentioned the deduplication, which I think is interesting as well. I had it on my list of questions when we had more time. I think we have not enough time, but let's dive into this one. So how are files stored?
We store them locally, and we also optimize them. That means we store the original, and then whatever gets sent to the different channels is an optimized version. I don't think anybody wants to see 2 or 3 or 4 megabyte files show up on their Shopify store. And Shopify, for example, by default doesn't optimize them, so you end up with very heavy product pages. We pre-optimize them for you. You just drop the file you want to store, and that's it. If you happen to upload the same file a number of times, it's not really the end of the world. If it's the exact same file, our system will just detect it based on the file content itself and assign it to the pre-existing ID. So
I see you classify. Sorry. You classified this image as a pack shot, and I know that in all these marketplaces you can give classifications to different images, like front, situational, left side, right side, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Is this done automatically, or is it defined in one of the backends?
It's doing it as you upload it. Yeah, you define yourself at the moment whether it's a pack shot or a mood shot. So this functionality is very limited in that sense. You just say it's pack shot or mood shot. We could automatically classify it easily enough. It's a fair remark. front, left, right. I think that's a nice idea, actually. I might
No,
have
I
to
mean,
write.
you're not a DAM, like a digital asset management tooling, but as with many PIM systems, you have some DAM capabilities, and I think specifically tied to different marketplaces or different channels, e-commerce channels, and their requirements. It makes a ton of sense to manage that complexity for these downstream channels because they don't deal with it. And as you said, Shopify is pretty interesting in that respect that they just copy and paste that. No, this is actually this is already great, but yeah, glad to be of service with my feature requests. Another question from Zach is on SKU rules, so stock keeping unit rules. Can you define different binding group attribute rules based on different SKU categories? So can you define different binding group attributes, different binding group attribute rules based on different SKU categories?
Oh, I'm trying to understand the question. So that, do you mean detect properties based on a SKU structure, or compile a SKU structure based on property? Or did I miss?
That's a good question for Zach. What we could also do is say to Zach, we'll get in touch with you after the webinar, because then you can dive in with Sascha one-on-one as long as you like. But if you want, you can also specify it in the comments. Cool.
We also do the videos functionality at this point. We haven't really had anybody really use the videos, so we'll see how that evolves into the future. I see that a lot of e-commerce platforms still don't really support videos, but you can store them if you like, and the same goes for documents. You can store them for your internal use. Yeah,
Great.
I quite enjoyed this kind of back and forward. If you would like to start with Onesila, we really believe that our system is quite plug and play in its own sense, that there are no big migrations, there are no lengthy implementation processes, and we very much hold your hand when it comes to importing your data from existing websites and marketplaces, because at the end of the day, your success is our success, and we just want that to work well. That means that we just pre-populate all the information in your account so you can focus on selling and not on having to deal with the IT side and the integration. So that's our bread and butter, and we're happy to help you. As a business, we're really reactive and customer focused. So what I mean with that is feature requests are quite common, and we are not going to throw them on a giant backlog to maybe get back to. No, what we actually do is we'll talk about it. We'll try to understand how important that feature is in terms of your business, and does it also serve other customers, and how really does that impact the entire product management flow. And we'll happily build it and add it. Some things, very small stuff, happen in hours or days. Larger, more complex things may take a bit longer. But the point is that we build our features from a position of necessity. It's not because maybe it looks good on paper or that some competitor has it. No, we're really trying to help you bring your business forward, and the features that we build are really come from that desire. So support-wise as well, we're a small team. That kind of brings me to my next slide. Is you could consider that a weakness. We think it brings agility, and it gives direct access and also ownership. We really want to do well, and that reflects in our work, and you want to do well, so that reflects back onto each other. So we really believe that with a small team we can do a lot, and this gives us really a flexibility to help you and your challenges equally as probably faster than a large team would. So if there are 3 words that I'd love you to remember, is that Onesila is about going fast, going global, and doing that really well. All that to get to the outcome that you want your time to market to really fundamentally reduce. You want to expand globally without really focusing on headcount growth. It's not necessary in this case. And all of this should happen with simple workflows. So anybody on your team should be able to use our platform and centralize all that product information without big or any training whatsoever. Should they need some training, we're more than happy to show things how it works, teach some background concepts, and we have a very modest video academy as well that shows you how some of the base concepts work. And that's really what I believe we're about. Yeah. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Sascha. That was a lightning demo, as they say. You managed to wrap it all up in under 60 minutes, which is pretty, well, fast was one of your key words. So, hey, that at least came across. No, it was a joy to see the focused, dedicated PIM, right? I think it's a clear selling point, as you mentioned, that it is a small team with a hyper focus. No, you maybe don't do very extensive PIM functionality that you might want if you are a large manufacturer where you want to have a product lifecycle management environment, right? You focus only on e-commerce and on marketplaces, which makes a ton of sense. We had lots of questions from the audience. I hope they all got to get their questions in. I know that at least Zach will reach out to you after the call, Sascha. So be prepared. I shared your profile with everyone as well, and there's also a link to the Onesila website if people want to explore more. We're also coming up for time, so I think I can best wrap up here. So if you have any questions for Sascha, please reach out to him on LinkedIn or visit onesila.com. I think is that it? Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
Where you can find his contact details, and with a small team, probably a big chance that if you just use the info ad email address, you'll reach him as well. If you missed a part of this webinar, we'll be sharing it with everyone after, and create a nice recording share that on our website. We'll also share the highlights with everyone as well on our YouTube channel. So if you haven't checked that out, please do. And with that, I actually want to thank you, Sascha, for taking the time and doing this lightning demo. And I want to thank the audience for joining us today. I hope they had a blast, because I sure did. So with that, see you around. See you with the next lightning demo, and maybe see you another time, Sascha. Will be fun.
Pleasure.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks a lot, Stephan. Thanks, everybody.
Yeah. Bye-bye.